What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Joe Fam coming out to you with another video. This is for the music production world. As you know, on my channel we discuss a lot when it comes to DJ and music production. I'm still an audio head, even though I'm in the video world now. I'm still stuck doing everyone's audio and trying to fix it because a lot of people just don't know how to do audio. So they're like, Joe, you're an audio guy, fix it. Even though I love the world of video. But we're going to talk about the main controversy that's been going on with the MPC community, which everyone discussed about it. So I'm not going to go too deep on it. There's so many videos about people discussing what happened and what people think when it comes to sound. My main thing is objective is more on the gear side of things. So basically, you got your MPC that everyone's been going nuts about, the SE and the price and the sound, what makes the best sound, getting analog stuff. You know, the gear, cool. But you know what? It's all about also what's the most important, which they do say it is the sound. It is what you hear the most. And I go back to my other DJ videos, is the gear, and everyone says this in every video because it's so true. The gear doesn't make you, the gear doesn't define you. It's the music that you create that will define you. Knowing your basics also of chord progression and just doing the sound. So sound's one thing, but here's the thing, you can have the best sound in the world, but if you don't know the progressions, if you don't know keys, if you don't know melodies, if you don't know structures of your songs as well, guess what? Your song's also going to sound really harsh. You can have the best sounding instrument that you created, but if you don't put that to a proper melody or a proper structure of it, the song's still going to sound not good, because if it's in the wrong key of what you're going with, and it's just going to sound mushy and muddy anyway. So sound is important, but you should also know the main foundation of creating music to begin with, which is your chord progressions, your melodies, your rhythm of your drums, what sounds good, what doesn't sound good. So it is key. Definitely, it is 100% key. But it's funny because people always bring up gear, and I need the best gear. And now you got the Push 3, which is like, oh my God, Akai's done. Push 3 just came out. They're standalone. Things just got real. Remember, everybody has a preference of what they use to create music. There's people that use Ableton, and they're hardcore Ableton users. People that use the Maschine, hardcore Maschine people. Hardcore MPC people, and there's even hardcore Logic users, which is a basic MIDI controller and a keyboard. So some people love the MPC key because it's like an MPC and a keyboard in one. So people love it. It fits their workflow. So it's for them because they like the MPC, but they also like to have that feel of working on a keyboard, which is cool. They were smart to kind of come up with that concept, which is different compared to everybody else doing things. It's not like Ableton came up with their own standalone with a built-in piano. So what I always say is not really, once again, about the gear. It's about how you create your music to begin with. I see people just use a $100 little MIDI keyboard, and they make amazing beats. That's all they need. That and the program, whatever program they're using. They get their plugins. They mess with their sounds inside the plugins to get the sound they're looking for. If they are analog users, they will get that analog sound to get their own unique sounds. But what's really cool is the way our technology is nowadays, everybody uses different plugins, and they'll dial in their own sound and create their own sounds out of these own plugins that you're going to need in your softwares. And now the world of Logic now came to the iPad. Now people are like, is this worth it? So I have to say with that, with Logic Pro, I mean, $50 a year, okay, it's cool because you're on the go and you still kind of get that Logic, platform, and you're kind of eventually going to be able to bounce between the two, which I think you can do now, or you may not be able to do it yet, because I know Final Cut has that issue where you can do one thing, but you can't bring it on your computer. Once you bring it on your computer, you can't bring it back. And I'm not too sure Logic's the same way, but Apple's going to come up with updates. It's going to happen. They're going to change firmware updates, or updates are going to be consistent, which could be a good thing because they're always going to keep updating now instead of leaving it on the back burner for so long, which I hope so, because that would make the most sense. If you're paying for a subscription, they have to be on top of it now. They have to do updates constantly. They always have to change things, fix things all the time, compared to when it's on your regular Mac and it's what's there because you paid for it once. So they can take forever to do an update because, hey, you paid for it once. So whenever they get around to it, they can get around to it. You paid for it. It's not like boom. But now they're going to have recurring avenue. They're going to want to keep doing updates. So that could be a big plus for Logic users, that they're always going to want to improve that through both the desktop version and your iPad. So that could be a really good positive if you're a big Logic user. So like I said, you can use what you want. I was laughing because I saw my MPC X and I miss that thing every day. Once the SE came out, I was like, oh my God, it looks beautiful. The additional RAM is definitely helpful because People think, is it really worth it? Not the price difference, no, but for the fact that my MPX used to crash like a lot. It used to crash a lot. So having more RAM, I feel like, is very beneficial for that type of system. It does need more RAM to run. Even the RAM it's at, even 4, it needs like 6, honestly. But I know people don't have issues. Some people just don't have issues at all. But when you're adding different plugins and you're adding different effects, it gets laggy. And I had a Samsung, 1 terabyte hard drive built that's supposed to be super fast and load things super fast, and it's still kind of slow because of the RAM. So having extra RAM is cool, but not worth the price tag. They should just come up with that, or allow you to update the RAM in the future if they want to make it like an all be all, kind of like what they do with their SSDs. If there was a way to update your RAM too, that'd be kind of cool, because they could make money selling the RAM for it, and then there's a way just to upgrade it when they need to, which probably would have been smart if they did that. So it all kind of depends on which route you're going with, but I have to tell you guys that it's not about the gear always, it's about how you use the gear and how you create your music. Like I said, I was just thinking about picking up like a cheap either MPC Studio. I know it's $250. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I love the MPC software and I don't mind creating music off there. So I just need a little platform just to help build around it, honestly. I know it has a horrible screen, but at that point you're mostly using your desktop anyway. But it's good to have those little shortcuts just to have. And you're still making the music the same way, because it's all about your chord progression. It's all about, the sounds you choose and how you can tweak them in the software. So you could still do what you need to do, and the gear is not there. It's not all be all. So I understand where a lot of people come from, especially when it comes to price tags and the way it is, and the value decreases. It's like a car, which I know a lot of people don't realize too. They're like, yeah, equipment goes for so much and it decreases in value. And they're like, oh, but all the vintage gear is still super expensive and never loses value. Well, there you go. If you think of it just like a car. Look, all the new modernized cars that we have, all the modern day cars that we have, drops in value as soon as you leave the parking lot, right? Once you get a car, it drops down tremendously, right? So a vintage car, though, a car from the 50s, 60s, guess what? They can be just expensive as a brand new car because they're vintage. They've been around forever. So just think, we have a 2022, right? It's brand new. Or 2023. Think 30 years from now, that car is now vintage. It's going to go up in value again. Yeah, it's going to go drop down in value because as soon as you left the lot, it has more value. But if the car was special at its time, 30 years from now, it's going to be something special. Like, oh, remember 30 years ago when the Tesla first came out, or like, something like that. It's going to be like, oh, it's revolutionary. It's going to be worth so much now compared to maybe we worth now. So things do change, and the same thing with gear too. And I kind of noticed a lot of people talking about that and how things devalue so quick, but it's just like a car. It's going to devalue. And guess what? The vintage stuff, when it's past a certain time rate, the price is going to go up if it was superior. So right now, yeah, the MPC right now, it's so high, and it's going to depreciate in value because you buy X's for cheap now. But granted, give it the same amount of years, 35 years, the same time as the MPC 60, that value is going to go sky high again. It's going to go sky high. Just because it's going to be vintage. So that's how technology kind of works. It just works like the same way as cars. I know if you guys disagree with me, you can let me know in the comments. It's cool. I like to hear it. But that's my personal opinion, because that's how I see how equipment goes. I see how vintage gear is now more money than the new gear. And the new gear now is because what we want to afford and what we can afford. So we still want the latest and greatest, and it's at a cheaper value, which is great. But why is the old stuff better? Because it has the sounds, it has different unique things to make them unique. Just like cars, like the old-fashioned cars, that has something unique, the body styles, the looks, the way it ran. So yeah, it's like that, which is going to be like the same thing, because in the future there's always going to be something newer and better. But then once you go back and realize, oh, it was really cool that this had this feature, and maybe it still is amazing compared to what the new stuff is out now. Maybe it's like overkill still. So technology is, I guess, subjective, and it always depends on what you talk to and what you do. So that's just my little input on music production and gear-wise and making music. It's all about the sound, cool, but make the best sound you can on whatever software you're using. So if you're using Logic, if you're using MPC, if you're using Ableton, if you're using the Maschine, any type of thing you got, make the best sound you can make. And that's what I kind of got to say about that. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out. Peace.